Hey, astronauts, welcome to the Digital Galaxy Podcast. I'm your pilot, Justin.
And I'm your co pilot, Paul. Buckle up because today in episode 29, we're discussing Facebook groups. The information in this episode comes from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, wilsoncenter.org, and NPR. So, Justin, what are your general thoughts on Facebook groups and I guess how they work?
Well, I think overall, I think it's a pretty cool idea to allow, different groups of people to kind of combine into one area to talk about specific things,
Mhm.
be it literally anything, sports teams, gaming groups, anything like that. It's always cool to see stuff like that for people of like-mindedness to be able to connect and chat with each other. But like everything, there's goods and bads. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, um, I think I only use a couple groups to be honest. Not as much as I used to for sure. But like pro wrestling, I'm a big wrestling fan, so I'm in like a group what talks about that, D&D stuff like that. So yeah, I agree that it's pretty cool that like you said, you find like-minded people talk about stuff. Um but I mean, there's also been a lot of problems like you said with Facebook groups recently, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, there's goods and bads to everything for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. So I do, subscribe to a lot of different news outlets, but what the one that really inspired me for this episode this week was the On Tech newsletter from the New York Times. I get it every week in my email box. It's written by Shira Ovid, and she has some pretty interesting points to make. Because the article is entitled "How to Fix Facebook Groups."
Hmm, interesting. So, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation on how many conspiracy theories have started while they grew, and how so many people spread misinformation. And I mean, just to be clear, we're not blaming Facebook in any particular way for spreading
Not at
these
all.
theories, but some of the Facebook group rules may need some retooling.
Yeah, and I think that's what this article is truly about, which I kind of appreciated. Because in this article, Shira herself even says that she's not blaming Facebook in particular. Just conversations and the spread of information has, happened on all major social media platforms for sure. But we're going to, brought up three or four major points that I want to talk about in her steps to quote fix Facebook groups.
Yeah, her first suggestion was to stop automated recommendations. Facebook sees that you like a certain topic, let's say video games. It then recommends that you join this group, other group that discusses Call of Duty or Among Us or whatever the case. It seems pretty harmless. However, when Facebook starts recommending groups that support QAnon or other extremist ideas, you can easily be drowned in conspiracy theories that eventually become your reality.
It's true. That's what the whole like social dilemma I feel
Yeah.
was about. But Facebook did say that they would put a pause on any political group recommendations. According to an article on the Wall Street Journal, quote, Facebook's research found that two-thirds of people who joined extremist groups did so at Facebook's recommendation, end quote. It's pretty clear and evident how quickly you can get wrapped up in, something like that before you even know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, even though there was a pause on the recommendations of political groups by Facebook, some people think they should stop group recommendations altogether. Remember the social
Mhm.
dilemma and how that kid was so easily swept up in what he
Right.
saw online for like a day.
hmm Yeah, because even your feed, it's like it's constantly being refreshed with like stuff that you like. But if you start diving into some other ideas or groups like this, it definitely throws you down the rabbit hole. But to be honest, lately I haven't seen many suggestions to follow groups. But I'm also, not on too many groups myself on Facebook. Plus, I unsubscribe to all their email lists, so I haven't really gotten much communication from them. Um, but I guess it could be a start of a solution if you stop having these group recommendations.
Yeah. I mean, I altogether, I think that would kind of help because
Hmm.
sometimes with algorithms, they're not made particularly for a certain instance. They kind of figure out that stuff happens later on, like over years of progression of the algorithm learning and growing. So, sometimes it could be hard for them to roll back certain stuff. You never know. But the second suggestion that Shira provided is to have more of an oversight of private groups.
Hmm. Yeah, this one was pretty interesting. In a June 2020 episode of the NPR show All Things Considered, Nina Jankowicz claims that Facebook groups are destroying America. Pretty bold. But
Hmm.
Jankowicz is a disinformation fellow at the Wilson Center. The Wilson Center is a nonpartisan policy forum which provides, quote, independent research, open dialogue, and actionable ideas, end quote. In the interview with Sarah McCammon, the two discuss that when a group reaches over a certain, member threshold, everything should stop being private. Jankowicz states that, quote, we think it's really important that Facebook show how groups are connected because often one group moderator will control several groups that are sharing similar divisive or straight up disinformation content, and users deserve to know that. End quote.
Yeah, a lot of groups are unsearchable, private, and invite only, and can
Hmm.
cause some issues. Um, so, I mean, I could definitely see how stuff can go under people's noses without them knowing.
Mm. Yeah, because like Reddit is really good, I feel, with their moderation.
Yes,
They
extremely
have
good.
just even the rules as reminders, I guess, on every single group page almost to remind you to think for yourself, kind of not get wrapped up in things and not to harass people
Yeah,
essentially.
definitely.
Yeah, so I think they can definitely take some pointers from Reddit in that situation. The third step to quote fix Facebook groups laid out by Ovid is to target habitual group offenders. That one kind of seems like a no-brainer in that situation. What do you think about that one, Justin?
Yeah, I feel that they just started to take a hard sentence on defenders in these groups, but can
Hmm.
be seen as a little too late. I I don't know. That part seems obviously like a no-brainer, like you said. Um, I don't really see how they could crack down on that though, because the groups are
Yeah,
private at that point.
right.
There's not much they can do. So,
Yeah, I feel like
uh,
they've given too much barriers or
yeah,
given too much freedom before, like to pull back on anything.
yeah, I definitely think that should be reworked.
Definitely. But the the last suggestion, of course, is my personal favorite, and I will warn you, it is a biased opinion. Ovid talks about hiring librarians to vet information on the platform. As a librarian myself, I definitely think that would be a good strategy. Of course, it's a shameless plug there, but it doesn't necessarily need a librarian per se, but a commitment to have staffers, research these claims and find the validity behind them. We as in librarians find information for people on a daily basis, and it seems like me to be like a natural relationship, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they're on the right track there. But like you said, it shouldn't need a librarian, but they could definitely get the job done for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if Facebook wants to hire me, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, I may be working for another company, but
but
you know,
yeah,
I would recommend any librarian being hired by a social media
yeah,
company. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it does seem like Facebook's taking a few steps, so hopefully they can, get some things under wrap. Uh, but you never know. I mean, there's always a fine line between censorship and policies and everything like that. So they're in a tough spot right now, I feel.
definitely. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. Don't forget to follow our channels on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. You can also find this episode in the written form on our website, digitalgalaxypodcast.com. Thanks for coming along on our journey, and we'll see you in the next one.